Hey everybody, Morgana Galaxia here. Welcome back to my channel. So, anybody who's a follower of mine probably noticed that I wasn't on last week. Sorry about that, but I was spending all my free time last week planting flowers, gardening, and just having a good time. And unfortunately, last night overnight, it friggin' snowed like crazy all over everything. So all my flowers outside are just like, oh, I'm sure some of them will improve. But anyways, I just thought I'd share that little tidbit with you. That's what I was doing last week. And yeah, it snowed. So yeah, there's been a lot going on. So what do I want to read on today? Well, I want to read on some Ivanka. I didn't really read on her since she gave her testimony to the January 6th committee. So I want to take a look at that. I also want to take a look at Don Jr. So he looks like he might have sent one of those smoking gun text messages to Mark Meadows, that they control, assuming he meant all the sort of state election officials, right? The state ones in those toss-up states, they control them all. There's multiple paths for them to basically steal the election. So let's see how Don Jr.'s doing. And let's see what we're doing on time after that. And let's see if I can hit anything else. So let's start with Ivanka Trump. Ivanka Trump testifying to the January 6th committee, voluntary. And apparently I understand that she didn't claim the fifth on any of her questions. Obviously they wanted to talk to her about her dad's state of mind and intentions on January 6th. She was one of the ones, was going in there trying to tell him to stop. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I want to look at. Since we're on Ivanka, after Don Jr., let's take a look at that $2 billion that the Saudis gave to Jared Kushner, right? Dirty. Oh my God. So dirty. Okay. Ivanka, what does she testify? What was some of the substance or the content of her testimony? What did she tell the January 6th committee? What did she tell the January 6th committee? Oh, that's what I want to know. January 6th committee. What did she tell them? What was her testimony? What was Ivanka's testimony? All right, let's take a look here. I'll bring you down. Ivanka's testimony. Interesting. Ivanka. Okay, what was Ivanka's testimony? I'm going to bring you back up here. And we're going to start off with the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, so the Wheel of Fortune with Ivanka, I feel like maybe she changed her tune a little bit in there. When this is a sort of, fortunes go up, fortunes come down, the wheel keeps turning, right? So if you're in a good position, maybe the wheel turns down for you, and vice versa. It's also a karmic card. It's the Wheel of Karma. Everything you put out there comes back to you, right? So we're starting right out here with a karma card for Ivanka. So for her and her life story, this was a pivotal moment. This was a karmic moment for her. And this moment is seeing a bit of her change of fortune. Her circumstances are changing. So you could say, she hasn't been doing great lately. Let's say, the high point for her was her being in the White House, being her daddy's advisor. Since the insurrection, everything's kind of been falling apart and the wheel's turning downwards, right? So this is this focus on her fortunes are changing. This is a karmic moment for her. And the feeling that I'm getting here, I'm just going to tell you what's coming to me, is that this has to do with the relationship with her and her father. Yeah, there's a lot of financial issues and legal culpability and all that stuff. But I think this testimony is going to change the relationship, the very karmic relationship that she has with her father. She might have enjoyed being the favorite child, the most respected, the most loved, what have you. Yeah, I think her relationship with her father is changing, and that's part of her life story here. Now, I'm not saying that that means Don Jr. is going to be the favored child, because, you know, that's never going to happen. But I think just her father's disappointment, the change in their relationship, is the feeling I'm getting for that. But even broader, this is a change. This is a life change for Ivanka. Her challenge, Five of Pentacles, her challenge, this is banishment, excommunication. You're kind of out in the cold and poverty, right? So your loss of, you know, this is destitution, a lot of loss of money. Now, so I think this is, again, reiterating what I just said about her father. Now, obviously, if the Saudis just gave her husband $2 billion, she's not hurting in the pocketbook if they get to keep that money. Who knows what that money was for, right? Went into one of Kushner's, I don't know, business enterprises. I don't know. But this is telling us, I think that she's going to be banished. Her father might banish her. She's going to be out in the cold. Her brothers might start crapping on her. She might find that she's cut off from the family finances, such as they are at this time. Yeah, I think this is telling us she's going to be punished, tossed out in the cold, banished, excommunicated, cut off. She's done, okay? And definitely I'm getting that. That's from Daddy. So, in the sky, what is she going to be coming face to face with? And we have the Nine of Cups. So, you know, the Nine of Cups usually is a very positive card. It's all about sort of, you know, for me, it's like a flush retirement, right? You worked all your whole life and now you get to reap the rewards for all of the hard work that you've put in. So for Ivanka, if this is something she's going to have to come face to face with, this has to do with her reaping her rewards for all the work that she's done. And as this card is pointing out, I think that it's negative rewards, right? Banishment and so forth. So I do get a sense of, you know, this might be, there's definitely, you know, part of me wants to say, yeah, Trump's going to cut her off financially. And this could be Trump saying, oh, look, I've got all this money. I got all this money. But there's definitely an offering here. So I'm thinking this is not Trump. She's getting offers here. So what she's going to be coming face to face with are financial offers, offers of goodwill. So for example, $2 billion from the Saudis. That's a financial offer to her and her husband, right? She's getting gifts. She's getting attention. She's getting rewards. That's kind of what I'm getting from this card here. She's going to have to face that at some point in the future. So, oh yeah, I'm kind of thinking there's going to be some questions, either if it's not the Saudi money, it's going to be questions about where did her money come from as far as, say, Trump organization. Well, you know, one of the things they're investigating is, you know, Ivanka got double paid, right? So she's getting paid as an executive of Trump Org, and then she also is getting paid as a contractor, an independent contractor at Trump Org. So these kind of double payments, right? This kind of shady money payment. Where is she getting that money from? Why is she getting all those cups? So she's going to be having to answer at some point. She's going to have to answer the questions of, where did this money come from? Where did these gifts come from? Where's all this extra bonuses or all these, you know, whatever it is, gifts, stocks, who knows, people are giving her. She has to answer those questions. Where did that come from? The bottom of the reading here, the foundation of it is the world. So this has to do with being on the world stage. I'm having the focus on you. You know, having everyone's attention, being the center of attention, but it also indicates a grand ending. So everything's changing again. What you knew before is over. You're moving into a new era. So not a harsh ending, but definitely a grand, large ending on the world stage that everyone's paying attention to. So that's foundationally. So yes, of course, we know that there's this grand era of her father's administration. It was traumatic. We're moving on into another era, right? The Biden administration. That's the very foundation of why we know who Ivanka is. She was in the White House. She's the president's daughter. And, you know, everything folds from there, right? The insurrection, her role in it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because her daddy's presidency's ended. Thank God the world's in a happier place, moving on. But that's foundationally why she is where she is. So in her past, we have the Five of Cups. Five of Cups is the energy that she's come through here. And this is loss, definitely emotional loss. Feeling sorrow, feeling grief, feeling, you know, focusing on what you've lost. And if you could see, always with this card, there's still a couple cups standing behind him, meaning she's not appreciating what she still has, not valuing what she kept a hold to. All of her focus is on what she's lost, what she's losing, what's moving away from her. And it's difficult. You know, there's a lot of emotional turmoil that she's gone through. So, you know, it's in the past. It's not a big surprise. I'm sure this whole debacle's just been devastating. Yeah, I think she's a crummy liar and a horrible person and all that. But seeing her father's fall from grace, watching the insurrection, being unable to stop him, watch him go through, you know, the mental decline, all of it. All her cups are spilling over here. Must be very difficult. In her future, we have temperance. This is what she's going to be coming face to face with. So there's an element of divine guidance here and has to do with balance. You know, all my intention's going right to all these different colored fabrics around this woman. So Ivanka, moving forward, is going to be spending all her time telling people what they want to hear, being changeable, acting one way to her father, acting another way in front of the January 6th committee, acting another way in front of her lawyers, acting another way in front of her brothers, another way in front of her husband. How's she dealing on the world stage, right? So she's having to adjust her personality, her behavior, the way she's interacting with people. She's really having to walk a tightrope here and adjust her behavior and her communication based on who she is talking to or dealing with. So just this sort of changeability in approach, changeability in personality, in her communication, is just telling us that she's treading very carefully. She's minding what she says to who. She's being very careful. She's being very moderate, probably saying as little as possible. She doesn't want to ruffle any feathers, you know, hence not claiming the fifth during her testimony, right? She's going to go there and answer questions, but she's going to be very conservative and prudent in her approach, mind all of her P's and Q's, that kind of thing. Just moderate, low key, only tell you what she's got to tell you, try and, you know, balance as best she can, thread that needle as best she can. So that is her sort of immediate future that she's moving into. Now, we already know that she talked to the committee. So maybe I'll pull one more card to see the essence of that testimony, the essence of what was said. The Fool, the Fool. So, yeah, just the Fool. She probably is coming off. So it's very hard for me to imagine Ivanka being completely honest during this testimony. Now, obviously, she can be held in contempt of court or for perjury or anything if they catch her lying. But I think we know that she's very much like her father, maybe the most like him of all the kids, and she is a big based liar. So this kind of card has given me the impression that maybe she went the foolish way in that testimony. Either they saw her as a fool, she portrayed herself as a fool, just kind of going along. She didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. I just didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know what he was planning. I didn't know, right? A fool, like she was a fool, a patsy. And, you know, the committee's looking at her like, you're a fool if you think that we're going to believe you. You're a fool if you think that we don't know. So there is just fool, boom, written across this woman's forehead in this testimony here. So that's kind of the clarifier that I'm getting for her testimony. So if she was either, I wouldn't be surprised if she was dishonest, if she was, just did not help herself in any way there. I don't think she didn't help herself. She didn't help her father. She didn't help her situation or the Trump org situation, anything. Whatever she testified to in there, you know, she tried to be very careful and mind who she was talking to, but they're seeing right through her. They're seeing right through her, regardless how dumb she wants to play. And that's my guess, is that she was sitting up in there going, I didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing. I was out of the loop. You know, Jared was in freaking Saudi Arabia when this thing went down. We didn't know. She played dumb. That's what happened in that committee room. Okay, so that's Ivanka. Let's move on to her brother, Don Jr., and his smoking gun emails to Mark Meadows. They have all the control, right? Is that what he said? We control them all. Who's them? And how did you exert this control? Were you talking about state election officials? Are you talking about Senate and House members? You know, exactly who are the they that you control? So, yes, they're going to be asking that of him. And I'm sure Daddy Donald is probably PO'd when he saw that come out on the news. You know he can't stand Don Jr. He's always ripping on him, calling him dumb. Least favorite of the three kids, right? If any of my kids have to go to jail, send Don Jr. Make sure it's not Ivanka. Anyways, so smoking gun email, because it showed intent, right? Because this text went out prior to the election being called for Biden. So it was still being counted. So clearly the intent was there to subvert the will of the voters. They had the pre-planning was there. So Don Jr., how will these emails impact? I imagine they're going to call him next to testify to the committee, right? It's interesting they haven't. But I'm sure, I would imagine that this is going to have them bring him in. I can just imagine him showing up all coked out, taking the fifth on everything. you know, kind of behaving like I guess we heard Guilfoyle behaved, you know, just real pain in the ass. Okay, Don Jr., what is his outcome of this text revelation? I want to know these texts that we're reading now. How is this going to be affecting him moving forward? What's his near future with these texts? Show us how these texts are going to impact Don Jr. How are these texts going to impact Don Jr.? Okay, let's bring it back down for the spread. Don Jr. Money. 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 Ooh. And here we go. And I can tell already I'm going to want a clarifier for that. So let's bring it back up. So we're going to start off with Don Jr. here. So I'm asking, what is going to be the effect of these texts on him? I got money all over the spread. And we're starting right off with the 10 of Pentacles. So the 10 of Pentacles is, you know, you're flush with cash right there. You've got all the money you could ever need. Sorry, I was thinking of the 10 of Cups card, but 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, you got all the money you could need. You're flush with the money. Very, very successful, right? You've made it. You've got the money. It is what it is. You got your war chest. So there's money. His challenge is the 3 of Pentacles. So this has to do with the cooperation, right? The cooperation with others to get done what you're trying to get done. So right away, so for example, one of the texts was about the fake electors. That was one of his bright ideas, right? Or at least somebody's bright idea that he was parroting. This would be that type of work. Work that you're doing with others to accomplish what it is you're trying to accomplish here. So it's cooperation. This is his challenge. So I don't think the challenge was other people weren't cooperating with him. I think the challenge was that cooperating he was doing with those people was dirty, was underhanded, was based on money. He was paying people off, right? In the sky, what is he going to have to come face to face with? Ooh, same card as Ivanka. Getting cut off, getting banished, tossed out, impoverished. Your money's taken away from you. Your reputation's taken away from you. Nobody wants you. Your family don't want you. Again, I think this is mostly relating to their father and Donald basically saying, you're cut off, you're out of here, you're done to me, you're dead to me, you're not getting the money, being cut off. Same as Ivanka. Underneath, what is foundational to this question here, we have the 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords. So, what's foundational to this question about Donald Trump Jr. and his ridiculous text messages is the fact that he did it to himself. This is the card of screwing the pooch, okay? You did it to yourself. Your own actions, your own behavior, your own lies, your own deceit, your own trickery, your own actions. You are is what's coming back to get you, coming back to haunt you, coming back to bind you, encircle you, ensnare you, and possibly get you in jail, okay? Definitely there's a feeling of being constricted. Your hands are tied. There's nothing you can do. So, you know, as a foundation here, Donald Trump Jr. is his own worst enemy. He can't stop his mouth. He can't stop just being a crappy person. He can't stop behaving like his father. He can't stop inciting people, lying, right? He can't stop these things. And he just keeps getting himself in trouble, getting himself in trouble, getting himself in trouble. And that's exactly what's happening here. I'm also just getting a feeling that I'm asking about what the result of this is going to be for Don Jr. I think the result is going to be, he might end up being confined, encircled, ensnared. He might do some jail time. Now, it could be maybe he just gets called into January 6th commission and he refuses to show up, and they get him for what they're getting everyone else for, not contempt. Yeah, contempt, right? Contempt of Congress. Maybe he ends up doing a 10 days or a year, whatever it is, just for not showing up to Congress. Maybe he finally gets busted for incitement of the riot, his participation in that. Maybe it's that, fake elector scheme, one of those other schemes. So because I am asking what the reaction is going to be from these texts, I am going to say these cards are telling me that Don Jr., he could be looking at some serious legal jeopardy here. We know that. But that's the thing, though. You'd think that all these fools would be in jail by now, right? They all have legal jeopardy, but they're all just running around free. I don't think Don Jr. is going to be running around free forever. That's what I'm saying. And that's foundationally to this reading. In addition to him being his own worst enemy because he can't shut his mouth. Okay, in the past, his past, we have the Lover's card. The Lover's card. So this is a relationship, commitment. He's bonded with somebody, and it's not always a healthy thing. And it's easy to say, oh yes, it's him and his dad. But I'm going to tell you, I keep getting Kimberly in all of Don Jr.'s readings. Kimberly always shows up one way or another, Kimberly Guilfoyle. So I'm saying in the past, his relationship with Kimberly has created a stream of energy that is running through this situation, is going to run throughout the other side. So this could mean, at the most basic meaning of that is that she was maybe pushing him, prodding him along to do certain things, to be more engaged, to, just ramping him up, right? Just kind of being that co-conspirator for him, giving him the confidence to continue to do what he was doing, preventing him from chickening out or preventing him from trying to back off. I think she's a force next to him that it keeps him doing the wrong thing. She's a bad influence on him. A bad influence on him. Now that energy runs through, for me, runs through the reading from the past into the future. And here we have the Two of Wands, which is about having two paths ahead of you. You've got two options, two ways you can go here. You want to take the path of the light? Do you want to take the path of the dark? There's a choice, and you make that choice. So this indicates that Don Jr. does have some mobility here, some agency to make decisions about how he wants to move forward. And I told you I need a clarifier, and here we go with the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands. Right after the Two of Wands. So the Ace of Wands is clarifying the Two of Wands here. And the feeling, the feeling that I'm getting here, the Wands is definitely, it could be like it's a new endeavor, it's a new beginning. There's something new starting here that has to do with work, entrepreneurship, business. or any kind of work, right, that people really put effort into, put their fire into, right? And I guess where I'm going with this is I feel maybe this is the start of a new investigation. Maybe the text messages and whatever information they glean from those moves an investigation forward in a different direction. So obviously, you know, January 6th committee's been doing this work for a really long time. We kind of know it's all about getting Trump on his intent, the premeditatedness of this, that he was doing this in advance, you know, where his thinking is. Where am I going with this? I'm going that I think that texts and whatever other information they got from regarding Don Jr. might be there's a lot of different ways I could say, either lighting the path forward for new investigations or changing the path for an additional investigation. There's another path, like a secondary or tertiary path forward for new investigations. But I think you know where I'm going. I think that there's going to be additional scrutiny, additional work being done to get into what these texts mean. So yeah, and you know, again, I keep going back to this fake electors, right? That was one of the things that was in his text. We control them. There's multiple avenues to move forward here. One of the ideas was the fake electors. You know, just this work that he's doing with other people to get this kind of shenanigans done. I think it's opening other avenues, other paths forward, other branches of investigation and inquiry. And something big, this is something big is going to come out of this. Something big is going to come out of this. So what I'm saying is it's not just going to be, oh, let's get Don Jr. in, we'll ask him his 8 hours of questions and then we just move on, right? I think this is going to bring forward something new. Something new is coming out of Don Jr.'s text messages. And this is what Don Jr. is going to be facing right here. This is foundational to him. What he's facing is related banishment, poverty, kick to the curb, cut off. You're dead to me. Him and Ivanka, dead to Trump. That's kind of what I'm getting from these readings right here. Okay, so I wanted to, let's end this on Jared Kushner. $2 billion from the Saudis. They've already been looking at Jared Kushner's questionable relationship with Saudi Arabia. They were all up Trump's butt during his term. They're just so shady, right? And let's not forget, way back in 9/11, remember how we went into Afghanistan after that? Most of those hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. So the Saudi government purports to be friendly to the U.S., but I think I've always felt that it's a lie. They're two-faced. They're underhanded. They're really our enemies with a friendly mask on, okay? That's where I'm going with this, which is why they like Trump so much, which is why they're flooding Kushner with cash. This is probably just Saudi's way of paying Trump's bills, right? Oh, the Russians, they're a little indisposed right now. They're not able to kick you down the money that you're generally used to getting from the Russians. Let us give you $2 billion. This should help cover some of your legal fees, right? Okay. Let's look at Kushner and the Saudi money. The Saudis, $2 billion to Kushner. What is that all about? What is that all about? Saudis giving Kushner $2 billion. Billion with a B. Billion. Biden must be so pissed off. Okay. Kushner, Saudis, $2 billion. What is that all about? What is that about? What is that about? All right, let's bring it down for laying the spread here. Oh, okay, I'm going to put another clarifier there for that Wheel of Fortune. Okay, I'm going to bring you up. Okay, so we're starting off here. Oh, sorry, ow. So we're starting off here with Jared Kushner and this 2 billion Saudis, right? We're starting off here with the Empress. Interesting. This is an interesting start. My first thought was, okay, this is Russia kind of being out for the count, but no, the feeling I'm getting here is this is the $2 billion. All right, this is a $2 billion. That's a whole lot of money. The Empress is all about, she's all about abundance, right? Having everything you could possibly need. The earth just provides for you, endlessly giving you just this gorgeous abundance, right? That, to me, is about the best thing you could say about this $2 billion. This is a lot of money, giving Kushner just this extreme wealth, extreme abundance, the ability to move around and do and have anything you could ever want. Like the world is his oyster with this $2 billion. That's all I'm getting here with this. Just abundance, money, things, just everything that the world has to offer. Everything that the world has to offer with this Empress, and is being challenged by the King of Wands. And, you know, I'm trying to figure out who these people are in the card, and I'm getting into this energy, and I'm feeling this is the king, or I should say the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. I want to say bin Salman. I might be saying it wrong. I didn't go look him up. But this is who gave Kushner the money. And this is a challenge for him. This guy he's already shown himself to be a killer, okay? This is a guy who had that journalist Khashoggi slaughtered, right? He is a hardcore. He's pretty brutal on the Saudi throne, that crown prince. And I think that's who this is right here. And he's the one who gave Kushner the $2 billion. And this is a challenge for Kushner because this guy is dirty and he's no friend to the US. And he probably is no true friend to Kushner. It's just, you know, extremely high levels of power and privilege. This is the guy who gave Kushner the $2 billion, but being in the challenge position, this is bad somehow for Kushner. So this guy might not be giving Kushner the money for free. He might have a price or a something attached to it that he wants Kushner to do for him. So I don't think this is a free $2 billion because this king is going to be challenging Kushner in one way or the other. It's going to be a problem for Kushner that this guy gave him this money. This is going to be something he's going to have to answer to, explain how he can do this, how he can take this money from this person. Why? What is it buying? What is he getting from you, right? So, yeah, this is not going to be just a quick transfer of money with no questions asked for Kushner. It's going to come back and bite him, being in his challenge position. So what's ahead, what's above him, what's he going to have to face here? Again, here's the brutality. This is what this crown prince is known for. He's a brutal killer. Here's the brutality. There's abusive power here. And for Kushner, it's given me a sense that no matter the scorched earth, no matter the damage that's been done or who's been killed or who's been slaughtered, he wants to be the person that's left picking up the remains. He wants to be left standing. He wants to be the person who will just sort of pick up the pieces, see what's remaining, and collect everything that he can at the end of a vicious battle here. So foundationally, and what I'm getting is the Four of Pentacles. So this has to do with Kushner being insecure about his finances. He's shoring up his money here because of insecurity. He's not sure, if his wealth is safe, if Ivanka's family wealth is going to be cut off. He's not sure where the rest of his money is going to be coming from, especially since Russia is a little busy right now to be dealing with the Trumps and forking over money. They can't even, what sanctions have done to Russia, right? So no transactions coming from that country. So he's going to Saudi Arabia, got a ton of money from them because he's worried. He's worried. He wants to pad his nest. He's kind of hoarding as much money as he can because he's feeling insecure. He's not sure, of the money loss that he's going to be going into, whether Trump disowns Ivanka or these lawsuits and empty out their bank accounts. He is scared about his finances. That's why he's doing this. That's the foundation of it. In the past here, we have the Queen of Wands. So I do see this as Ivanka. It could also be Jared. Basically, they've been... I think this is pointing to Ivanka and just the insecurity in her finances that they're going through right now. She's just in a really delicate position. Her father could, be mad at her, cut her out of the family inheritance. Trump org could be torn apart and bankrupted. She could be bankrupted because of this, right? So I think, we know that she sees herself as an innovative, hardworking woman, right? She's all about the prestige, the power, just the social climbing. She wants to be a big player. That's what she's been working for. But everything she's been working for now is being threatened. It's being threatened. And this is part of what's creating that fear in Jared about their finances. He wants to be, this is telling us, he wants to be set up for life, the rest of his life. He doesn't want any risk of, having to come down that social ladder, right? That wealthy ladder. He wants to be super rich, extremely wealthy his whole life. He's going to do whatever he can do to make sure that they stay at that level, that they always have that kind of wealth. And because Ivanka's at risk right now, he's willing to deal with this brutal tyrant and take this $2 billion, thinking that he's just going to have a flush life, right? It's going to take care of them for the rest of their lives. Going into the future there, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So I think he's trying to turn that wheel back up, right? He's seeing his fortune diminishing, his spouse is at risk, he's at risk, all the family money, all the Trump org money, everything's at risk. Now, he has his own businesses and his own money and his own family money as well. But really, everything is at risk. And so he's this is like him trying to, take care of his business. But this is in the future card, so will the wheel go up? Will the wheel come down? We don't know. This is, again, karmic. This is a huge part of his life story, his life path on the earth plane at this time, no question. But yeah, this could, if it does what he wants it to do, it could turn the wheel up for him and, keep him and Ivanka flush for the rest of his life. Or he could be mistaken and this could turn the wheel down and he could lose everything. His fortunes could change for the worse. So I'm picking a clarifier here. And the clarifier I dealt was the High Priestess. So the High Priestess is about secret agendas, secrets, who spills what and when. This knowledge keeper is also a gatekeeper. She decides what arcane information she releases, what she holds inside. She's the wisdom keeper. So I think what I'm getting here for Jared is that he took Saudi money just because he sees the Trump family money draining away. He feels at risk. He wants to hedge his bets. He wants to make sure that he has enough money to last him and Ivanka for the rest of their lives. They're not going to be getting it from Russia, so they're getting it from Saudi Arabia. And he thinks, his fortune's going to improve because of that. And great for him. His risks are that the person that he's taken this money from is a brutal dictator who will not hesitate to call in favors or require action or require, some sort of behavior out of Jared Kushner, something that might be unethical, immoral, that might harm others. He wouldn't care. Again, because he's in a challenge position, Kushner is going to have to face something like that with him. Whether his fortunes go up or down, I don't think this High Priestess is really telling me. It's not telling me that, but it is pointing to hidden agendas. So I think that this money wasn't given to Kushner freely. There are strings attached to it, and he's going to try and keep those strings secret. He isn't going to want to release that information, and he's really kind of taking a risk. Taking that money was a huge risk. It was a risk for whatever that Crown Prince is going to want him to do. It's a risk based on whether it enriches him or ruins him. And he's, it's just more secrets, more agendas. There's something shady about it, definitely shady about it. So that's kind of what I'm getting for Jared and the $2 billion. Yeah, I think there's strings attached to that money. Strings attached to that money. And, I do want to end it there. This is lasting a little too... Yeah, I'm just going to end it there. So that's it, you guys. I will be back with you in a couple more days. I know I got to make up for last week. And there's, I'm still want to get into Ukraine, Putin, what's going on over there again. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in a few days. And until then, take care of yourselves. And, yeah, that's it. Bye, everybody.